Who should be the next coach of the Cowboys?
I mean, I'm intrigued by Dion. I'm not gonna lie. I think it'd be fun. I mean, like at this point, if the owner, who's the GM, is not gonna fire himself, I mean, maybe be the most entertaining team possible. And I feel like Dion would provide that. So, I mean, that's me as a non-Cowboy fan. I'm sure you have a different perspective on things as someone who's living and dying with the actual team. But from the outside looking in, I kind of want to see what Dion would do working with Jerry as a head coach. I think it'd be fun.
You go, boy.
Yo, yo, yo. Do not adjust your TV sets. This is a beard. That's a beard. Another one's off camera. Episode 60 of the U-Goboy podcast. Jake Asman from ESPN New York. He will show up. He's here virtually, but he's here in spirit. No intro. Mr. Kerry Bailey, he might show up in a phone call too. We got a lot to talk about. The Final Four in the NFL. Some Hall of Famers. So much to talk about. This is episode 60 of the U-Goboy podcast. Yatzee.
Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag, I need more. Hey, 3P Jordan. Whoa. Woo. I can't keep it on a low. This a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam.
Yo. I just need one thing. I just need a tear in my eye. Give me the New York Flair.
In my eye.
One more time.
With a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of my life.
Oh yeah. It's your boy. You go, boy. Woo. And you know who's to my right? It's Mongo.
What's up, everybody?
Big Yatzees. Give me 10 Bailey Yatzees. Get them Yatzees going.
The best Yazees.
The only Yatzees. Yes. Love you, Bailey. She's still bae. Episode 60 of the U-Goboy podcast. Live from Bravery Studios. In lovely Garfield, New Jersey. It's sports talk. So the beards are out.
Yeah.
The boys are back in town. So much to talk about, man. NFL. Oh, yeah, get the Bart Scotts going. Oh yeah. Give me some Dom DeMarcos. It's not a party without Dom DeMarco. He owes me so much money, it's silly. Let me run into him in the streets of New York.
So does Dom Lemon.
Yeah, so does Dom Lemon. We got Steve, franchise on the boards. The bearded one himself. Love you, Steve. From the James Spears Show. Oh, man. So, but before we dive into things, we're going to switch things up. We got a special segment for you guys.
Ooh.
All right. I was able to sit down with Jake Asman from ESPN New York Radio. Huge Jet fan. I'm good friends with him as well as Joe Beningo. I ran into both of them at a live show at Hackensack Brewing Company a few months back. Jake agreed to come on the show. First virtually, we're going to try to get him in studio. We're going to try to get, of course, Joe Beningo as well as for another crossover. But we're going to send you now to that virtual segment. This is me and Jake Asman chopping it up about the NFL playoffs and all things NFL football. Yatzee. What's good, bro? How you been?
Good, man. Can't complain. Busy this time of year like everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, this is amazing. This is dope. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the U-Goboy podcast. I'm live from Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey, usually, but we're gonna do this one remote since you weren't able to pull up. First and foremost, you're with ESPN New York. Like, how did that happen, man? How'd you get hooked up with the mothership?
Long time coming. I was down in Houston where I was working for the ESPN affiliate down there and was able to basically connect with the powers that be at ESPN New York to start doing some, fill-in shifts for them remotely. And then when I moved back to New York, I started to get, more shifts than I was when I was living out in Houston. So it's worked out. I've always been a radio guy, and now it's kind of like an interesting dynamic for me where I'm doing a lot of YouTube content, but I'm still a radio guy at heart.
Love it. So you're a super Jets fan. Super duper Jets fan.
Yeah,
Actually,
unfortunately.
I have that cup. It's downstairs. Like the cup you're drinking on now. I
Oh, yeah?
have that one too. But what went wrong with the Jets this year? 2024. Obviously disappointing season. You guys had Super Bowl aspirations, but obviously those went awry. What went wrong with the 2024 Jets?
Everything, basically. I mean, the defense completely regressed. The special teams, most notably their kicker, who couldn't miss a season ago, was the least accurate kicker in the league. Clearly, the chemistry with the team was not where it needed to be at the beginning of the year as far as Rodgers and the receivers being on the same page. And really what just expedited the demise of the season was they fired Robert Saleh with the team at 2-3. And instead of providing a spark, it did the opposite. It completely tanked the season. The defense then took another step back, and they never recovered. They were 2-6, and that was essentially when it ended.
Yeah, man. I mean, what I applaud you guys, at least you guys try. All right, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Like they don't like what you guys did in free agency and with trades. You guys really did go all in this season with Tyron Smith, with Devontae Adams mid-season. There were so many moves that you guys made to try to win it. Hassan Reddick, you guys grabbed him, and it's like, but I just feel like you guys to win a championship, you need a culture. And Robert Saleh was hired to be your culture guy, so to speak. But, it just seems like the culture in New York right now was Aaron Rodgers and your owner, Woody Johnson. Do you feel like culture was the biggest issue coming into this season? What really led to the trains getting off the trains off the track in terms of the culture as well as the overall makeup of the team?
Well, I think it goes back to the fact that the owner clearly didn't have a whole lot of faith in the head coach and the coaching staff for that matter. If you're going to only give Robert Saleh 5 games, then why is he the head coach at all going into the season? He needs more than 5 games, but it's clear Woody lost a lot of faith in this regime. If you're going to pull the plug after 5 games, the move should have been you fire him and the rest of the staff at the end of last year when they were 7-10. Then you bring in a coaching staff for this year, and maybe Mike Vrabel, for example, is coaching the Jets in 2024, and they're not 5-12. We'll never know. But that to me is really where it all goes back to. Once you decided to go with Saleh and Joe Douglas for the 2024 season, you got to give them the 2024 season, because clearly going to Jeff Ulbrich, it didn't work. I mean, let's call for what it is. I mean, they won 2 games with Saleh, they won 3 with Ulbrich, so it tells you all you need to know about how it went.
Gotcha. My next, who's the next coach of the Jets? Who's the next coach of the Jets? Like, if it were up, if you were,
maybe you, man. I mean, they're interviewing everybody. Maybe you'll get an interview.
I mean, you guys need a coach and a GM. Obviously, Joe Douglas is out of work, just like Robert Saleh is currently. But if Woody Johnson comes to you and was like, "Listen, Jake Osmond, I want you to make the decision. I want you to hire the GM. I want you to hire the next head coach to lead us to the promised land, end our playoff drought, let alone Super Bowl drought." What tandem would you bring in, considering you guys have interviewed a lot of guys for the position? Who are you bringing in as the tandem to end the drought for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they've interviewed a lot of people for both, but I feel like, especially with the coach, they haven't interviewed a ton of the guys I want them to actually talk to. Like, I want them to talk to Mike McCarthy now that he's available. I want them to talk to Pete Carroll. I want them to talk to John Gruden. And those 3 they haven't. They haven't requested Liam Cohen, who's the Bucs offensive coordinator. To this point, they've requested Joe Brady, the Bills OC, but they haven't spoken to him yet. So of the guys they've actually interviewed, I lean with experience because I think this is a job that's really tough for any first-timers. So I like Brian Flores a lot and think he deserves a second chance. Being a head coach, Brooklyn guy, had a 10-6 and 9-7 season in Miami before he was fired. I feel like he would make some sense. I know everyone's going to connect the Jets to Aaron Glenn, former Jet, certainly qualified. I just get nervous when you have another first-time coach from a defensive side of the ball taking over, but he's definitely a good candidate. And then GM-wise, it's tricky because they've interviewed 15 guys for that job, and I wonder if part of the reason they've interviewed so many people is if they're going to potentially make 2 front office hires and try and do what Carolina did a year ago, where they hired a director of football ops and then a vice president of football operation underneath the president/GM of football ops. So I wonder if they're maybe going to make two hires, maybe one guy with experience, one guy that's new to it. I just really hope no matter what they do, there's at least someone on this coaching staff or GM that has done the job that you're paying them to do. Because I just think it's so hard to come in and learn on the job in a media market like New York, and especially for the Jets, who haven't made the playoffs in 14 years, and the fan base is rightfully fired up and angry and just flat out disgusted with how these last couple of years especially have gone.
I feel you, and I feel the passion in your voice about the direction you guys should absolutely be going. About the playoffs. I mean, the Final Four is set. We got to talk about Washington's rebirth. You know, like the fact that they were able to nail the coaching hire, the GM hire, the quarterback, and a culture shift. And they're doing stuff they haven't done since '91, like in terms of just getting through and breaking through and being legitimate contenders. They're a game away from the Super Bowl. How did Washington turn it around so quickly?
Well, I mean, it starts with you got to get the right coach and GM combination, and then they nailed the Jaden Daniels pick. I mean, but you also got to give a lot of credit to Dan Quinn for hiring Cliff Kingsbury to be his offensive coordinator, because I think it has a lot to do with how quickly Jaden Daniels has come on the scene and played great. That's really where it starts, though, right? You have new owners who hire the right people. They stay out of the way, and they're like the model example on how quickly it could turn around. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the Commanders were one of the biggest jokes in sports, and now, you know, they're a franchise people are pointing to as the right way to go about building your team. So that's really what it comes down to. Sure, you got to get a little lucky. Like, they didn't know Jaden Daniels was going to be this good. If people knew he'd be this good, he would have went number one, not number two. So it starts there, but you got to give credit to Dan Quinn and credit to him for hiring a really good coaching staff around Jaden Daniels. And, you know, now you look at the Commanders and they're set up for years to come, which should scare every Giant fan who has to not only watch Jaden Daniels for years to come, but also is now going to watch Saquon Barkley play for a chance to go to the Super Bowl with the Eagles, which is just crazy. So, you know, the last 48 hours for Giants fans has not been fun.
Yeah, it hasn't been fun for Dallas fans either, man.
I'm sure. Yeah, at least you guys are, you know, you've seen playoff years. You guys won 12 games, three straight years with McCarthy before the injuries this year. I mean, the Giant fans, sure, you know, they obviously had the Super Bowls, which is huge, but you know, it's been a long time since the Giants were, you know, a legit contender. Now it feels like you have Philly. They've been good for a long time already now, and Washington's about to be really good with Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract for the next 4 years. So the whole dynamics of that division have changed that fast.
Agreed. And that's why, like, transition to our next point, I think that this next hire for Dallas is so big. It's so huge. Because, like you said, I feel like, you know, Philly's not going anywhere. I mean, everybody's still relatively young. And Saquon, you know, he looks like he still has a lot of tread left on the tires. I feel like he's kind of having a rebirth now with that offensive line. And again, like you said, they're playing for another opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. They were just there a couple of years ago against Kansas City. And my thing is, if you're Jerry Jones, who do you hire as the next head coach of the Cowboys? You know, because he's obviously not going to hire a GM. You know, we all know why.
Yeah.
But who should be the next coach of the Cowboys?
I mean, I'm intrigued by Dion. I'm not gonna lie. I think it'd be fun. You know, I mean, like at this point, if you know, the owner who's the GM is not gonna fire himself, I mean, maybe be the most entertaining team possible. And I feel like Dion would provide that. So, I mean, that's me as a non-Cowboy fan. I'm sure you have a different perspective on things as someone who's living and dying with the actual team. But from the outside looking in, I kind of want to see what Dion would do working with Jerry as a head coach. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a pipe dream. You know, it makes for good headlines. ESPN can't stop talking about it, as you know,
sure.
And Fox and so forth. You know, if we're up to me, though, I mean, Aaron Glenn's the guy. I think Aaron Glenn's the pick is absolutely the choice. I know he's heavily interested in you guys as well as a former player, but he also played in Dallas and came really underneath Bill Parcells. You know, I like that Bill Parcells touch. I mean, I really believe that the only adult head coach we've hired after Jimmy Johnson was Bill Parcells. You know, and Mike McCarthy to an extent too. He actually absolutely helped us regular season wise. But again, come playoffs, you can't play the worst game of the season in the playoffs every single time you're there. You know, that's definitely a disconnect between you and the team. You know, but my choice would be Aaron Glenn. And of course, Dion. Of course, that makes for good. That makes for good theater. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Why not? You know what I mean? But it should be interesting. It should absolutely be interesting, and that should be sorted out by the end of the week, since the Lions are out. Speaking of the Lions, and speaking of the Vikings, 2 14+ win teams, both one and done. Where do both of those teams go moving forward now? Because I think the Lions, they're set up actually as currently constructed, but they're going to lose both coordinators. So where do they go? And where do the Vikings go? Because Darnold, for all intents and purposes, he's going to go get a bag in free agency, and the Vikings seem still committed to J.J. McCarthy to be their future. Where do both of those teams, those NFC North Titans, where do they go moving forward in 2025?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because you look at you look at like the Lions, and you could argue this was their best chance at it because they might lose both their coordinators now, so you got to replace them. So if they lose Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, how many coaches from the Lions staff are they taking with them to their next job? So they're going to look a lot different. That's just naturally what happens when you potentially lose both of your coordinators. We saw it took the Eagles a full year to really replace the two coordinators they lost after their Super Bowl run. And, good coaches can figure it out. Sirianni has obviously been able to replace his two coordinators again. And the Eagles are a win away from going back to the Super Bowl, but it's not easy. And that's kind of what the Lions are now facing. So we'll see, where they pivot, what Dan Campbell does. And then, as far as Minnesota goes, I mean, the way Darnold played the last two, does that change how you feel about him being your long-term answer? Does it change that? Do you franchise tag Sam now as opposed to signing him long-term? Would you actually say, nah, it's too much money, we're going to let him walk? We drafted J.J. McCarthy for a reason. He's going to be our guy, and they'd move on. I mean, that's really the first big decision they're going to have to make. Plus, Brian Flores is rumored to be in head coaching interviews. Josh McCown is interviewed for at least the Jet job so far. How much of that coaching staff are they going to lose? So that's really the first thing you figure out. Are you trying to replace any of your coordinators? And for Minnesota, it's, okay, what are you doing at quarterback after Sam Darnold was great until the last 2 weeks? How does that change your perception of him now going forward? Does it?
Yeah. And I just believe coaching and culture, like we just discussed earlier, it's just so big. And I feel like the Vikings have that in place. Justin Jefferson is just all world. And, they run the football well. Aaron Jones was a great addition. They've got the pieces in place to be successful. Again, but you got to nail quarterback. You got to nail quarterback. Is it going to, they invested a lot in J.J. McCarthy. They did, you know what I mean? And, I think Darnold, here's my issue with Darnold. And you're a Jet fan, as you know that. I feel like New York Jet Darnold showed up in the playoffs. Just like with Detroit, L.A. Goff showed up in the playoffs as well. The deficiencies in their game, they rear their ugly head in the biggest moment for both of those guys. And, but that's not going to stop somebody from giving Sam Darnold $30-40 million in free agency. I just don't think so. This is when Kirk Cousins just got $100 million and he's a backup now. You know what I mean? So it should be interesting how that plays out for sure. Let's keep it going. We are set with the Final Four, AFC Championship, just like old times. Patty and Josh Allen yet again, Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts on the other side of the ledger. Which one of these conference championship games do you think is going to be like box office? Do you think both of them are going to be box office? Which one are you looking more forward to watching just as a fan?
Yeah, I can't wait for both these games. And as someone who can't stand the Bills and doesn't love the Chiefs, puts me in a tough spot. But I got to be rooting for Kansas City, and hope that whoever comes out of the NFC can pick them off in the Super Bowl. But I think these are going to be great games. I mean, you look at the regular season matchups between the Commanders and Eagles, and they split the season series 1 game apiece. I think. We're talking about history potentially being made if Washington can pull this off, and Philadelphia, and that environment's going to be awesome for Championship Sunday. And then, I mean, you get arguably the two best quarterbacks in the sport in Allen and Mahomes head-to-head. And the last time they met in an AFC Championship game in that building, it was about as good of a game as we've had there. So I'm excited. I think when it comes down to it, we're going to get 2 really good games 6 days from now. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Who wins the Super Bowl? If you had to pick right now, first of all, who wins those conference championship games? Like, do that pick, and who wins the Super Bowl? If you had to, if you were a betting man right now, Mister Ashton.
Ooh. I would still probably take Kansas City, until someone knocks them off. It's tough to pick against them. I'm not rooting for it, but that's kind of what I'm feeling at this point.
Yeah. I would love because we've seen it already, like Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl. I'm not. I talked about it on my show. I thought that that's where we're headed, just with the way that the bracket set up. If Detroit got knocked out, and they did, I'd love a Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl, and I'd love a Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen Super Bowl. I would like. I kind of selfishly, for me, I'm rooting for a team that has never done it before. I'm an NFC East guy, so I'm never going to root for anybody in the NFC East to do well. But I would love for the Bills. The Bills gave me my 2 Super Bowls as a kid in the 90s.
That's right.
During the Cowboys dynasty. So how about you guys get gifted some long-suffering Bills fans? That Bills Mafia, they're jumping on flaming tables over there in the cold. Like, it'd be not. But I know for you could never root for the Bills as an AFC East guy.
Yeah, I get the Bills appeal if you're a non, AFC East fan, for sure. I mean, they haven't won. Josh Allen is likable. The city of Buffalo is blue collar. I get it. It's just, as a Jet fan, I can never root for Buffalo. So, I don't like the Chiefs either, but it's like the lesser of two evils for me. So go Kansas City in the game on Sunday, and then go NFC in the Super Bowl.
Gotcha. All right, and then the final point, get you up out of here, man. Lamar's legacy. I talked about this on my show. I wasn't necessarily singling him out, but he was the topic of discussion here. I feel like all these like high-end quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks during the Mahomes era who don't have Super Bowls, that like somebody is going to break through. This isn't Madden. Like the Chiefs aren't going to win a Super Bowl every single year for the duration of Mahomes' career. But I think particularly with Lamar, I feel like until he breaks through, like he is in danger of becoming a Charles Barkley. He's in danger of becoming this or Karl Malone, this great, amazing Mount Rushmore type player, but never won the big one. And I feel like, with at least Joe Burrow, he's at least been to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But Allen and Lamar, but particularly for Lamar, with another playoff failure, he doesn't have a ring. What's his legacy right now going into 2025 now? Do you feel like it's trending toward that direction of a Barkley or Malone or Marino or Fouts, if you want to keep it football, or Phillip Rivers or Tony Romo, a great player that never won the big one, or is it something different?
Look, I'll tell you what, I mean, until he wins a Super Bowl, at least gets to a Super Bowl, the lack of going to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl is part of his legacy. And, obviously he had a rough first half last night, but he gave him a chance in the second half, and we'll never know what would have happened if Mark Andrews catches that 2-point conversion and maybe they play overtime and he wins that game in overtime. I don't know. But, I mean, look, he's probably about to be a 3-time MVP. You look at the list of guys who've won 2 MVPs, and they've all won at least 1 Super Bowl. You look at the list of guys who have won 3 MVPs, and it's some of the greatest of all time, and Manning, Brady, Montana, Rodgers. Like, it's uncharted territory, and for him to not even have a Super Bowl appearance yet, and his numbers being significantly worse in the playoffs than the regular season, that's going to be the monkey on his back until he shakes it off and has to break through. And it felt like he had a chance to do it last night, and he wasn't great in that first half, as I said, but it felt like his team really failed him late in this game when he led that 8-play scoring drive to go and tie the game up, and then threw a great ball on a 2-point conversion, and Mark Andrews dropped it. Like, that's a killer.
Yeah, it's a team sport. Yeah, it's a team sport. I mean, you even go to the Eagles-Rams game. I mean, Jalen Carter makes that tremendous sack. I remember they were showing the replay. Higbee's wide open over the middle for potentially a touchdown, but, Stafford doesn't have the time to make the throw. Lamar, like you said, hits him right in the chest for a 2-point conversion. Andrews doesn't make the catch. I mean, the win-loss stat for the quarterback. I feel like it's always been overblown, but again, this is the world that we live in, but you need 11 guys. I mean, the Chiefs haven't scored 30 points all year. They've got an elite defense. They've kind of been carrying Mahomes, but he's been carrying them in moments too with winning drives. You need everybody. You need everybody to win, but like you said, I just feel like until you got to at least get to one. You got to at least get to one, man, to really change the perception. I mean, you lose a shootout in the Super Bowl on a last-second field goal, c'est la vie. That it is what it is. But, for him to not even get to one, and he's been the 1 seed twice and hosted at least hosted the AFC Championship game, he's got to get to one. And, I was rooting for him. I was rooting for him, but I was rooting for Josh Allen, too, because, I feel like I want someone to win a Super Bowl in the Mahomes era, not named Mahomes. I really do, So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. All right. So before we get about here, I always do this for guests. We call it on the spot. We have the guest ask a quick question to the host, and I also ask one to the guest real quick to bring things on home. What's your question for me? And then I got one more for you to take us on home.
Prediction: who the Cowboys head coach is?
I'm not going to say Jason Witten, and I'm not going to say Kellen Moore. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be positive. Aaron Glenn. I'm going to be positive. I think they hire Aaron Glenn since he's available now. I think he completely blows them away in the interview, a la Mike Tomlin, and just lets the team know, like this is what we need right now to compete with the big boys. We need a culture shift. He's the out of Saleh and Glenn and Kellen Moore and all the candidates that are out there, I want to go with the culture guy. And I feel like Glenn is the best culture guy on the board, not named Deion Sanders. And that's my pick. That's just my pick.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that would be fascinating if Glenn ends up there, and I'd be curious where the Jets go, because it feels like Glenn is the favorite for the Jet job. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly that's based on, because they don't even have a GM yet, but that's what people keep saying, so who knows.
All right, and my final question for you, too, is who is the starting quarterback for the Jets next year?
I hope it's Aaron Rodgers. I think it's more likely to be Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, nice little bridge to Arch Manning in 2026.
Arch Manning or someone else, but yeah, it kind of feels like that's where this is headed. I mean, you look at the playoffs. I mean, of the 8 teams that were left, like they all had quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, besides Jalen Hurts, who was a second-round pick. Like for every Dak Prescott 4th-round pick, 90% of the good teams in the league, their quarterbacks were found in that first or second round, and the Jets are going to have to take another swing at a quarterback probably in 2026.
All right. Just do me a favor. Don't draft Ashton Genty this year. I need him to be our foundational running back moving forward.
I don't think they're gonna go running back in the first round, but it would be very Jet-like.
I mean, you guys already took Braylon Allen from me. I wanted Braylon Allen to be a Cowboy last year.
Yeah, we got Breece Hall too. Like the Jets have good running backs. They just have a terrible offensive scheme. They can't use them properly.
Yeah, you can thank Hackett for that.
Yep.
I mean, but thanks so much, Jake, for pulling up. You got to get you in studio, man. We got to get you in studio. We're gonna merch you out at Bravery Studios at Garfield. You get to meet Mongo. He's a huge Jet fan. He's my co-host. He's on the logo. You guys can just yuck it up about the gang green. But thank you so much for pulling up, bro. Hopefully we'll see you in studio pretty soon. And hey, tell your ESPN bosses I'm a free agent. Hey, if you're looking for a podcast producer, radio host, hey, your boy's here.
You got it, man. I can barely get shifts myself, man. I don't know if me vouching for you is going to help you. It might have the opposite effect.
For sure. I got you, man. But take it easy, bro. And take care, dog, for real.
You got it. Appreciate you having me, man. Thanks so much.
No doubt. All right. Round of applause for Jake Osman. Oh my goodness. Like, Jake, you're the man. We got to get you on the show. Give me some Chris Tuckers. He earned it. He absolutely earned it. Yes, this is exactly what we want.
Yes,
this
in
is
fact.
exactly what we want.
Yes, Mr. Tucker.
Well, Rush Hour 4 will happen at some point.
Is that what I want? Absolutely.
Yeah, that and Lethal Weapon 10 or whatever, which one they're on.
Police Academy 96.
Police Academy 96. Oh man, but yeah. So let's dive into things here, Mongo.
Okay.
There's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
Let's dive right in. Can I get a how about them Cowboys? And you know what? I'm going rogue. You know what time it is? It's pipe bomb time.
Oh,
It's pipe bomb time.
already?
It's time for a
Wow.
pipe bomb. It's time for a pipe bomb. Keep them going. Keep them going. I'm gonna go warm my car up because it's negative 10 degrees outside.
I wasn't ready for this.
This pipe bomb is brought to you by Things Galore at Etsy, US, as well as U-Goboy merch. Grab the merch now. Link below. Give me my camera, Steve. Give me my camera, Steve, because you know, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, the front office of the Dallas Cowboys, man. They never cease to amaze me. You know, I think just when I think that they can't top the clownish behavior from last year or the year before. So Mike McCarthy, who is no longer the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, they give me another woo there. So they block an interview for him to go to the Bears. By the way, round of applause, congratulations to Ben Johnson, the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. So they blocked the interview for Mike McCarthy to interview with the Bears, only to part ways with him less than a week later for him to just interview with the Bears a week later. So that's a check there. The two top coordinators, top coordinators, Aaron Glenn, future Jet, we'll get to you guys, and Ben Johnson, they don't even speak with either of them. Now, the rumor has it, shout out to Dallas DLLS Sports and, DallasCowboys.com and Ian Rappaport and all the national media outlets, The Athletic. Word on the street is a guy that you're familiar with, Brian Schottenheimer, is now the front runner to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. The same Brian Schottenheimer that's never been a head coach. And there's more. Not only is Brian Schottenheimer the front runner, Kellen Moore's still in play. The Cowboys interviewed Kellen Moore, who's, 23rd overall passing offense. He's the reason why the Eagles are about to go to the Super Bowl, right? Totally. Don't forget, a nice nugget, shout out to Jane Slater of NFL Network, that one of the stipulations that was going to be thrust upon Mike McCarthy had he returned, Jerry Jones was going to mandate that Jason Witten be a part of his staff. So, what do I always say about front office and non-football guys making football decisions? It is a fast track to nothing. It's a fast track to missing the playoffs. It's a fast track to mediocrity. And there is, coming into Divisional Playoff Weekend, there were two teams in the NFC that had not made an NFC Championship appearance. One since 1995, the other since, 1991, and the Washington Commanders. Well, now there is one team that hasn't been to an NFC Championship game since 1995. Can you guess who it is? How about the Cowboys? They now stand in sole possession of the worst run franchise in the NFC. What a disaster. So congratulations, Jerry Jones. You get your wish. You successfully run this organization into the ground. It only took you about 30 years to do, but you did it. You did it. And while Jimmy Johnson is just really laughing at you on the Fox set, the days are long past of the Dallas Cowboys being America's team fighting for Super Bowls. Now they're fighting for the Forbes list.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, every time they're a primetime game, that's the way Jerry Jones looks at it. Every time the Cowboys get a primetime standalone game, that's a Super Bowl. That's a playoff game. Who needs one Super Bowl? They get 5 or 6 a year. That's all that matters. Because past the divisional playoff, we're going on 3 decades now. No Cowboy football. And if you hire Brian Schottenheimer, or you hire Kellen Moore, or you hire Dave Campo, or whoever the hell else you want to hire, another Jerry Jones puppet, same bat time, same bat channel, a year from now, we'll be sitting here saying, wow, Cowboys missed the playoffs again.
No.
Tell me when I'm telling lies. And see.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
And we're gonna have, you caught me off guard with the pipe bomb, because we're gonna have the rare double layered pipe bomb here.
Oh, load them up, baby. Load them up.
I need to get in, because I agree. I mean, so we'll get to the whole NFC landscape, the whole football landscape soon enough.
We'll get there.
But I mean, with what Washington has done, Philadelphia has seemed to figure out a long-term culture. If the Giants figure out their quarterback situation in this draft, it's already just an uphill battle to get out of fourth in this division to begin with. So, I mean, it's not like, it's an easy path and they're going to do one thing stupid. They're already in trouble to begin with. But we got to talk about Schottenheimer.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry. Just
Jet legend.
Just to bring
Jet legend.
No, when you said a guy you're familiar with, about half the listening audience shuddered and went, "Yes, I am." This is a guy. 14 different jobs spread across 12 different, clubs, whether it be college or NFL, over a 27-year span.
Savage.
So it does not matter what this guy does. Statistically speaking, he's gone in 2 to 3 years no matter what because he does not stay anywhere. This is a guy who teamed up with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. This is a guy who
get the trashes going.
This is a guy who teamed up with Eric Mangini on the Jets. I mean, this is a guy who only the worst, only the weirdest will take a flyer on. But here's why this guy is even more of a trap. Bruh. He has passed up. He has taken himself out of 2 head coaching jobs twice in his life. In 2007, he took himself out of the Dolphins search. Post Nick Saban, he saw that collapse coming, and that's when Cam Cameron jumps in. He goes 1-15 the next year and gets fired after 1 year.
I remember that guy.
And then he took himself out of the Bills in 2010 after 5 losing seasons, and that's when Changali gets that job and promptly has 3 more losing seasons and get fired. So the one thing you can possibly say in defense of him is at least he can recognize when a bomb's about to go off. He can recognize a disaster. But why would you want to bring that guy in? Because now, if he does take the job, we know statistically he's out in 2 and 2.5 years. And if he decides to get to the finals and then take himself out of this conversation, why would anyone want this job? Statistically, that is the ultimate red flag when he says this job's a problem, because that's the one thing he's actually been right about in his bizarre coaching history. This is a terrible guy to bring into your room for any head coaching reason, because if it works out, he's gone. If it doesn't work out, you're sending up huge red flags to the rest of the coaching community. This is as bad of a decision as you can make.
Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Keep it on me. Keep it on me. I can answer that actually for you in less than a minute. So I've seen this movie before. Mm-hmm. So when Wade Phillips, another Jerry Jones puppet, it's like a theme. It's a theme here. It's a theme here. The last Jerry Jones puppet, you know who was brought on his staff to be the heir apparent in waiting? His name was Jason Garrett. So what's going to happen there if Schottenheimer, by all counts, he will be the next head coach. If Schottenheimer is the head coach and you see a certain Jason Witten on his staff in 2 to 3 years when the bomb goes off, you know who's going to be head coach in waiting? Jason Garrett. Jason Witten. Jason Witten. So I don't know what is he going to put. Is he going to call Y option on every play? Is he going to call plays? See, this is what. Jerry Jones just sees another Dan Campbell. He's like, well, Jason Witten played tight end, and Jason Witten's a blood figure, just like Dan Campbell. So he's going to be our Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell was in coaching for nearly a decade before he took over with the Lions. He was an interim head coach with the Dolphins. He worked his way up from a tight end coach to an assistant coach to an interim coach to a head coach. He paid his dues. Mm-hmm. You, on the other hand, just want to roll out another remix of the heir apparent on the staff game movie, and it's going to end the same way. Meanwhile, the person that's going to suffer the most, the 3 people that are going to suffer the most are Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. They're going to suffer. Facts. They're going to suffer because I get it. They want this is going to be Dak friendly. Well, Dak knows Schottenheimer and he knows Kellen Moore, so we just want to do unilateral moves that are going to help him. But no one is interviewing him. No one is interviewing Brian Schottenheimer. No one is interviewing Kellen Moore. They're not. They're not. And last year, Kellen Moore had the 29th ranked offense with Justin Herbert. This year, the Eagles have the 23rd ranked offense passing with Kellen Moore. They're not winning. We'll get to the divisional matchups shortly. The NFC Championship and AFC Championship shortly. But the Eagles are not winning because of this amazing Kellen Moore offense. They're winning because of Saquon Barkley. Pipe bomb. Your offense still to this day doesn't work against good teams. It doesn't. So, Schottenheimer, the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You love to see it.
How about that, Cowboys?
Thank God I'm a Jet fan.
Round of applause. Round of applause for both of us.
and I still somehow win that conversation. I'll take it. Thank you, Steve.
Just take it.
I'll take it.
But we'll keep it going. So the Jets, Aaron Glenn is in Jersey as we speak.
That better not be leaving. Keep him.
The plan
Raise those tolls. Keep them in.
Exactly. The plan is for him to not leave Jersey without being announced as the new head coach of the New York Jets. Yes, Jets. Is this what you want? Give me a crystal. Is this what you want? Do you want Aaron Glenn to be your head coach? Is this what you want? And what does this mean for the Jets moving forward with Super Bowl aspirations, possibly?
This is what I want with two huge caveats.
Is this what you want?
The first is that, and this is not Aaron Glenn, this should be any coach. Any coach with an IQ above -6 should be walking into the complex and saying to Woody Johnson, just to be clear, anything that happens with Aaron Rodgers doesn't count against me, right? Because if Aaron Rodgers stays one more year, Aaron Glenn's tenure to me really starts in 2 years. If Aaron Rodgers stays 12 more years, it starts in 13 years. At this point, we are just stuck with this crotchety old man from the Muppet Show.
Savage.
And whatever happens, it's not, it's not Aaron Glenn's fault at this point. It's not any coach's fault. That coach should be solely focused next year on making sure that Sauce Gardner wants to sign his first big boy contract. Garrett Wilson wants to sign his first big boy contract. Everyone just wants to, Will McDonald, whoever they get as a rookie signs as a rookie. That's all you're focusing on next year. So the first caveat is that as long as this is not someone who is in any way, if I even hear the seat is lukewarm, if Aaron Rodgers is playing next year, I'm denouncing the Jets as a franchise. So I want to make that perfectly clear.
Okay.
The other reason I'm concerned is I love Aaron Glenn as a coach.
I do too. I want him to take the Dallas job.
I adore, especially because I'm so in on Carter from Penn State.
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter, who I want the Jets to, if they have to trade up, I'm so in on the idea of him and McDonald for 10 years, 12 years as Jets. The idea that a guy who, as far as I'm concerned, I believe Aaron Glenn's clipboard literally just says blitz on it on a piece of paper. I don't think there's any other play on there. And I love that. I love that he sticks to his guns. I love that he genuinely believes you can't beat him at what he does. We've seen that with other coaches. I mean, that's what we're seeing with Dan Quinn right now in the playoffs. Yeah. I play a 4-down football. You play 3-down football. Stop me if you can, right? It works. It catches, it eventually gets stale. And do I think Aaron Glenn is meant to be here 15 years Mike Tomlin style? No. But can he make a fun run with this young core? Absolutely he can. And that's all any Jet fan should be asking for. But the thing that super worries me is amongst the offensive names I've heard is Gary Kubiak's kid, Clint Kubiak.
Oh, yeah.
And first of all, managed to dethrone Nathaniel Hackett in Denver for his first big boy job.
That says a lot.
Yeah, if that's your claim to fame, better than Nathaniel Hackett, you have me alarmed already. You also know Nathaniel Hackett in any way, which immediately I want no part of you.
Red flag.
But second of all, he's coming off, coordinating the Saints this year.
Yep.
The Saints this year, 30th in yards per catch, and
that's a cannon.
20th in yards per catch, 30th in completion percentage. So they weren't having success going long. They weren't having success going short. What were they doing in New Orleans? And that's the guy you want. It doesn't. So on the defensive side, they're looking at Steve Wilks possibly as the defensive coordinator.
It's a good hire.
And the only reason I'm hesitant there is, he disastrous as the head coach. That year in Arizona, coming off Carson Palmer retiring, having that uncertainty with Josh Rosen at quarterback. So bringing him anywhere into a situation where there's going to be uncertainty of a changing of the guard with a retiring quarterback. We've seen this movie. We know it doesn't work.
That's fair.
But at the same time, I really do think this is Aaron Glenn's show, and that coordinator is just there to provide head coaching experience as much as anything else. Would I prefer that to be like a Jim Caldwell? Absolutely. Would I honestly, make it a Gus Bradley. I don't care. Make it a Gerard Mayo. I don't, just pick your favorite defensive guy with coaching experience, who doesn't give you as much, seeing ghosts. We're Jet fans. We have to use that phrase by law. Back to Wilks when Palmer retired. But I get the idea. The defensive coordinator is not important. But if it could be anyone other than Kubiak as the OC, and if Aaron Glenn is guaranteed at least 2 years, I'm sold on this hire. So I'm in.
Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Your hire at head coach, and I think it is going to be Glenn. I think Glenn doesn't leave Jersey without a job. Your core is in place.
Absolutely, it is.
Your core is in place minus the quarterback.
Yes.
It's the only thing missing. If this hire does not make Sauce Gardner's job easier, does not make Garrett Wilson not ask for a trade, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, like the other 10 running backs you drafted that year, if it doesn't make that core better and be thinking playoffs and deep run into playoffs, what's the point? Just like flip side, back to the Cowboys, if the Schottenheimer or Kellen Moore or whoever the hell they decide to hire that is incompetent, if it doesn't make Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Tyler Smith, I could just keep going, Trayvon Diggs, if it doesn't make their job easier, what is the point of the hire? Your core needs to be the focus.
Absolutely.
It has to be the focus because we talk about it in detail. Team building, roster building, competent front office, quarterback. That's the Fantastic Four that you need to win a Super Bowl. And the final 4 teams that are playing, segue, see what I did there? The final 4 teams that are playing, they have all 4 trending in the right direction. So, from the makers of incompetent old white men who are owners, we bring you Jerry Jones and Woody Johnson.
Hey, that's us.
Gannon.
Hey, real quick before one last
Go
thought
for it.
on Steve Wilkes here because the Jets a lot like the Eagles with Nakobe Dean, right? They live and die by their linebackers basically being goalies back there, and they have a free agent back there, a couple free agents back there. C.J. Mosley's getting older, so there's also a chance that next group of the core they need to update linebackers back there. Steve Wilkes is a guy who originally had Hassan Reddick pinned as a middle linebacker, as an inside linebacker, as his 3-4. His 1 year in Arizona was actually Reddick's highest number of tackles in his career because he had him as more of a Nakobe Dean, as an off the ball type.
Right.
And if you couldn't recognize that guy is an edge rusher, like, I'm concerned about your ability to use linebackers. And for a team that lives and dies so badly by the linebacker, he would either come in and completely change everyone's role, which, like you said, will make lives harder and make lives less comfortable, or I worry about what he'll do. Like, can he find a 5th-round linebacker and know how to use them properly? So I'm hoping that gets superseded by Aaron Glenn just looking at prospects and going, can they blitz? Yeah, they can blitz. They're on our team. But I am a little worried about what Wilkes does at the linebacker position in the limit. And again, I didn't go back and look at every linebacker Wilkes has ever worked with, but that's a pretty obvious example of is he going to misuse a guy? Like, I don't need C.J. Mosley picking up 10 sacks and us giving up 3 times as many 25-plus yard plays because we gave up our goalie for that kind of thing. So my only concern there with Wilkes is definitely the linebacker play.
For sure. Subscribe to the channel. Robert Saleh has a second interview with the Jaguars. Can I interest you in that? And he did interview for the Cowboy job. He interviewed for the Cowboy job,
Gannon.
so he should find a landing spot at some point within the next week or so. Definitely before the next episode. So Robert Saleh, he's at Costco as we speak.
It comes with a free side of Javon Kinlaw. So he has about 3. Solomon Thomas will follow. I mean, you'll basically get the entire Jets second string D line. Whoever takes Robert Saleh. So you have free money.
Sounds about right. Let's keep things going. So we're in the Final Four of the NFL.
All right.
The Final Four, the NFC Championship game is set. The AFC Championship game is set. Just like old times, it'll be Patty against Josh on one side of the ledger in the late game. In the earlier game, no way in hell am I watching that. It'll be Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels in lovely Philadelphia. Mongo, we'll pick at the very end with no intro if he does make it to the phone lines. But which one of these games are you really intrigued by the most?
Man, can I tell you what orchard I'm going to be picking apples at this weekend instead? I guess by default it's Buffalo, Kansas City, and solely because I think it is the better game, and solely because I think that's the game where the underdog has more of a shot. So I'm going to kind of talk about the other game here first. Listen, I think the Commanders are a really cute story. Yeah. I like them. If I'm any other team in that division, I'm terrified for the next 5 years. But this is a team that literally played immaculate football and watched Detroit implode on itself. And I'm assuming we'll go back and talk about that in a little bit. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they won the turnover margin by 14, And at the end of the day, they only won by 14 with Detroit in field goal range. So obviously you can't say without the turnovers, that's a huge, but they played an immaculate game, and still if the turnovers weren't in play, they would have lost that game. So, and that's with one team playing perfect and one team letting its receiver try to throw a ball and letting an offensive tackle try and catch a ball. Like, it's a joke how one-sided that game was in terms of competency. The Eagles, I've talked about it since August, right? They Sirianni-proofed that team to not make the big
Savage.
error. They know how to slow down a game. They don't get cute. The cutest thing they do is they long con reading a history textbook over a 4-week binge or whatever A.J. Brown is doing over there on the sideline. Which, by the way, I'm going to buy the book at some point. And
I think I'd have to.
It angers me that I know I'm going to buy this book, but I know they've done it. Well done, A.J. Brown. I want you as my agent in the future. I'm beyond pissed, but beyond proud of you for how you've managed to do that. But nonetheless, because I just don't see a world. First of all, snow played a huge role in half the game. So, if everything is just being played in 15-degree, balmy, just stale coldness, I think that already takes Buffalo and Washington's wind out of their sails to begin with. But then I don't think Washington has a chance. So by default, it has to be the game where I could actually wake up Monday and go, huh, look at that. One of the teams that could win actually did win.
Like the video. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen this weekend because I've seen this movie before. It's not me if you've heard this before. Whoever has the ball last is going to win the Kansas City game.
Oh, okay.
There will be a back-breaking, ridiculous call in the Kansas City Chiefs' favor. It's just a matter of when it gets called. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, in the middle of the fourth quarter, at the beginning of overtime, but it's coming. A roughing the passer, a phantom hold. Something Vince McMahon led is going to happen in the favor of Kansas City that Buffalo's going to have to overcome.
What up, G?
Just saying. Steve chose violence. So I'm rooting for Josh Allen. I really do I want a non-Mahomes to win a Super Bowl in this era from the AFC side. I've never wanted it more. I was rooting for Lamar last week. You know what I mean? I want someone other than Lamar from the AFC. I preface that because there's no way in God's green earth am I ever going to root for an NFC East team not named the Cowboys.
I get you.
Just
I respect that.
You know what I mean? So that takes care of the AFC side. Whoever has the ball last. On the NFC side, it's going to be same bat time, same bat channel. I said coming in, the Rams could not stop Saquon Barkley. They couldn't stop him. Couldn't stop him in L.A. They couldn't stop him in Philly. They couldn't stop him in Jersey. They couldn't stop him in New Hampshire. They couldn't stop him in Canada. It didn't matter where the game was played. Saquon was going to run wild. And the fact that it snowed only helped. You know what I mean? So fast forward to Saquon had monster games, 2 monster games in both games. Granted, they lost the second one because of turnovers and Jalen Hurts being concussed. Jalen Hurts plays the full game. They sweep that. Honestly, they sweep because they could not stop. Could not stop Philadelphia.
Right.
So you're not going to tell me that the Commanders' defense is going to morph into the 85 Bears or whatever overnight. It's been a great story. What I will say, though, with that being said, if the game is close and the ball is in Jaden Daniels' hands, just like with Stafford in that situation, Jaden Daniels is going to win the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because, yes, Stafford was leading a game-winning drive in the snow, albeit, but lack of mobility, snow, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, they had a game-winning touchdown over the middle to Higbee, but Jalen Carter got through. Mm-hmm. I believe Jaden Daniels makes a guy miss and then either rushes or makes a throw late and shocks the world if it's close in that situation, just like he did the second time they played. But I don't think that it's going to get to that point. I think Philly is going to control the game. Once they get up by double digits, like you said, they're Sirianni proof. They're Kellen Moore proof. The only 2 teams I feel comfortable that can beat Philadelphia are on the AFC side, and one of them is going to lose. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other one is going to win the Super Bowl.
Another one's going to win the Super Bowl. The winner of the AFC Championship game is going to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to clip this. Tell me when I'm telling lies. I will take that to the bank. Take that to the money in the bank. The winner of the AFC Championship game will win the Super Bowl in New Orleans. You can book it. And if I'm wrong, If I'm wrong, I'll eat cheesesteak on air. Who knows?
He won't say it, but it's,
Play it all. Play it again. Play it again.
Boo me, cheer me,
Love you, Phil.
love me, hate me. You won't do it because you know I'm right.
he won't say it, but he means the Chiefs when he says the team is going to win the AFC. Hey, listen.
That part. No, give me another one. Give me another one.
Listen, this is like one of those choose your own adventures. So whichever way you want to go here in a minute, I could work my way backwards from the Commanders to quickly go rogue on the Lions, or I could go rogue on the Texans. So we can choose paths here in a minute. But I do need to say this because I love being right more than anything else. I said back in August, Eagles-Chiefs. I said at the start of this, Eagles-Chiefs.
I asked you, let me jump in real quick.
Sure.
I asked you about 3 or 4 episodes ago, are we headed to another Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl? And I believe you did say yes. I believe you concurred.
I have stood by that from the get-go. And I even said the only team that I could see possibly taking down the Eagles is the Lions, which is why I need to talk about them in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Because, my God, what was that? But, I mean, to me, you look at the Bills, you look at the Commanders, and you say, if they were doing something that was so overwhelmingly unstoppable, if they had found this new recipe, if they had, and Washington, I guess, in that sense is a little bit closer because you're watching the young kids develop. So each week they are technically sort of a 2.0, then a 3.0, then a 4.0, right? They're kind of evolving. But these are two teams that just watched implosions on the other side of the ball from them. It's not like they went haymaker for haymaker and won. They just watched two teams that should have been less inclined to make the mistakes, and they cashed in on them. And so why should I believe that the two teams who I thought were the Titans all along are going to lose to these teams that I didn't think were even going to be there? It doesn't make sense at the end of the day. And I think Josh Allen has reached that stratosphere. Sorry, anyone who listened to me 4 weeks ago. I said Justin Herbert's name in the sentence of guys who can win any game. Clearly, he can't win any game.
But I thought Justin Herbert was, cue it up, Steve, generational!
He is yeah, he is general. We were close.
Savage.
But yeah, I was wrong about him. But no, Josh Allen, if you remember, though, what I said was Herbert is getting near the conversation of, and I used Allen in that sentence. So you can't rule out, you could literally have Allen play the Chiefs 17 times next year. I wouldn't put them at a lock to go 0-17. So you can't rule them out. But I do think at the end of the day, I have to just sit here and go, why would I get off my couch? Why would I get off my perch at this point, right? I've had these two teams pegged as 1 and 1A forever. I'm going to stand by that.
Like the video. 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks that are playing on Championship Sunday. Cue it up, Steve. You know where I'm going here.
If this sentence, I think we're going to end the sentence differently, but I think I like my sentence more. You go first.
I think 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks, you can make the argument that they're generational.
Oh!
And what is going to factor in 1,000,000,000%, the defenses. The defenses are going to have a say in both the championship games.
Absolutely.
1,000,000,000%. Because, again, with Kansas City, their defense, the Chiefs haven't scored 30 points all year. What are we talking about here? But again, the way they set up the game script is let Mahomes and Kelsey and the boys just do what they need to do in the fourth quarter to position us to win. All right? That's on one side of the ledger. On the other side of the ledger, Jalen, we don't want you to throw the ball more than 20 times. We don't. Even though you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and so on and so on.
Yeah,
and all the merry men in the world as skilled position players. We want Saquon to run the ball 30 to 40 times. Yeah. That's our recipe. You know where I've seen that before? I've seen that before in a place called San Francisco. I've seen it at a place called San Francisco. And tell me when I'm telling lies.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I know we're foreshadowing, but we're going to do a Super Bowl episode before or after Super Bowl at some point. Once you play Kansas City and they take away your run game and say, listen, guy throwing the ball, you got to beat us for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Not for 3, not for 3.5, for 4 quarters. And granted, Jalen played his tail off the first time they played at the 2-3 Super Bowls ago in Arizona. He absolutely did. But who made the key drive and the key plays at the quarterback position with the game on the line in the fourth quarter? Patrick Mahomes II.
Absolutely.
And last year in Vegas, who made the critical plays in the Super Bowl against the San Francisco Avengers? It wasn't Brock Purdy. It wasn't Brock Montana. It was Patrick Mahomes II. So tell me when I'm telling lies. I see Eagles, Chiefs, Part 2, but this sequel is going to end like the original. It's going to be the Chiefs. The three-peat is happening. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Correct.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
You're absolutely right. And, just to piggyback on that, and then if I desperately want to get to the Lions and the Texans here, or my head's going to explode on how
we will.
how miserable that was.
That's next.
But with that being said, because you just hit it perfectly about the Eagles. So again, I think the Eagles are a proud enough franchise where they're going to take a look at what just happened and go, man, about 45 of us did nothing, if not did more harm than good. I mean, honestly, Carter, Bond, Barkley, and their punter. Their punter was midway through the second quarter. I was watching with a diehard Eagle fan. Shout out Urso. And I turned to him and I go, the punter's going to get the game ball at the end of this. he had himself a day and he kept them in that. And then at the end of the game, Bond basically single-handedly took the second to last series by himself, and Carter took the last series by himself. And so if you can find a way to isolate if they found a way to just isolate about 5 guys in that game, which Kansas City knows how to do, Philadelphia could have lost that game 40-0. I mean, that was not a strong effort. That was not a team effort. It's the kind of gritty win a la the Giant runs through their Super Bowls that you need to have at some point, right? A lot of teams get to or win the Super Bowl, look back and go, oh, we were definitely vulnerable in that one particular moment. That's why I think the Eagles are even safer now, because they've had their they didn't deserve that moment, and teams tend to come back from those stronger. But Kansas City knows how to pick those bones, and so don't be surprised if you're sitting there going, where is Carter? Where is Bond? Where is Barkley? Where is AJ Brown? And you'll be watching Philadelphia try and use their secondary options, and they don't know how to do that, nor do they want to be doing that, like you alluded to.
Jalen Hurts has not thrown for 200 yards in any of his career playoff wins.
Nice.
I think he's maxed out at 156.
Savage.
I thought you were at least going to say something like the 180s or 190s.
I'm just saying, I don't want to come off as a hater. I just want to give facts. That's what we do here on the U-Goboy podcast, live from Bravery Studios. I'm just giving the facts, doing it as you please. All right. Yeah. But we'll see if no intro calls in. But we'll segue to what the hell happened to the Detroit Lions? I thought the Lions, cue it up, Steve. I thought the Lions were generational. This was supposed to be their year. But 5 turnovers, Mongo. 5. LA Goff showed up just like New York Darnold showed up right on time. Right on time. I'm going to say that one more time in the camera. LA Goff showed up just like New York Darnold. Yeah. Right on time. I'm wearing the LA Knights shirt. Yeah, no way. Give me 10 of them. Yeah. Right on cue. Right on cue. Just like LA Goff showed up in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, just like LA Goff showed up against the Packers in the wild card round, I believe, LA Goff will always show up right on time. And he showed up in the playoffs against Dan Quinn. The same Dan Quinn defense that Cooper Rush beat. Almost beat twice. I'm just giving the facts. That'll be a drop at some point. I'm just giving the facts. You guys doing it as you see fit. Tell me when I'm telling lies. But go ahead.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
The Lions are 1 and done, and the Vikings were 1 and done.
Here's my. Listen. I told you about the Vikings from a mile away.
We both did. We both said that. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Give me 10 cannons. Give me 10 cannons. Give me 10 cannons.
So what I thought you were going to hit me with is you have been trying to get me to admit guilt about being wrong about the Bills all year.
We'll get there. If they shock the Chiefs, which we both say is not going to happen, if they shock the Chiefs, you're gonna have to eat some crow there.
But here's the thing.
Just say.
Here's it's a copycat media, right? And so we naturally try and force people to pick a side of, am I the kind who's going to apologize, or am I the kind who's not going to apologize, aka the guys who are on the TV from 7 to 9 a.m. I'm going to take a third door here, and before I answer that question, the question is, do I logically deserve an apology? Like, should I have to apologize here, or was my logic sound? And in this case, here was my logic on the Lions. Because what do we know about the Commanders? They're the cardiac Commanders, right?
Yeah.
Detroit has been beating teams by like 50, and that's with them wasting quarters at a time trying to throw the ball to Dan Skipper. So
Savage.
You figured that the same way
Savage.
when Kansas City gets to the playoffs, they stop making cute deep balls to rookies and start relying on the throws they're given and start just shoring up and just moving down the field very scientifically. You figured that, Ben Genius there and, Dan Campbell would do the same thing. Gibbs would get his 140 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown would get 14 catches. Dan Skipper would take a vacation, and you'd be fine. So the fact that, and this is Tom Brady, who gave us this idea.
He was on the call.
And he said on that great Laporta catch,
yeah.
Not only did he say that Skipper was actually the target on that play,
Savage.
But and I don't think this was planned. I think this was a breakdown in coverage. Skipper was double covered. This was somehow supposed to happen. Like, this is somehow okay in the playoffs for a tackle to go out for a catch. And listen, we have the receiver. Obviously, we have Williams throwing the pass, which in and of itself has been scrutinized. But on the Bridgewater trick play, at this point, we don't know how long Goff is going to be out and if that injury is going to come back to hurt him later. Look back at that play. Bridgewater, now he sets it like a pick, but Bridgewater's in a position to block on that play. You literally had to go to a high school football field to find a backup you could trust. You don't know how long you're going to need him, and you put him in a position to block just so you can show off your playbook. Ben Johnson, not only what are you doing, I blame you single-handedly for this, and I now don't believe you're the right guy for Chicago. I think you've made a mistake because, listen, I love his offensive mind, but if he doesn't know when to quit, if he doesn't know when enough fooling around is enough fooling around, how do you believe he's going to tell that safety who's arguing with the Commanders when they're throwing a Hail Mary, hey, buddy, stop goofing around, we need to win this game?
What a disaster.
He'll lose those games next year, and what was the problem for the Bears? Those arrogant moments. And if he's that arrogant about wanting to use his playbook, he's not the right guy for the Bears. So I'm sorry, I'm out on Ben Johnson. I'm out on this offense. You need to know when it's time to just win the game, just to win the ugly one like the Eagles did. The Lions got cute. The Commanders took advantage of it. And listen, there's no way I can say this without disrespecting the Commanders, but the Lions lost that game. The Commanders did not win that game. I'm sorry.
I'll take it a step further. Can I get a tell me when I'm telling lies? And can I get a boo me?
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Give me a boo me, you know I'm right while you're at it.
Boo me, cheer me, love me, hate me. You all do it because you know I'm right.
Tight on me real quick. I said that there's at the end of the NFC Championship game that Dan Campbell gave to the Avengers last year. I said this, there's a difference between aggressive and reckless. They're two different words, for Christ's sake. Ben Johnson is reckless.
Facts.
And that is an extension of the head coach, Dan Campbell, who's reckless. All right?
Oh, sorry. By the way, go back and watch Dan Campbell's pre-show interview. He is downplaying the game. They say, you always know what to say. And he goes, well, I don't know if I always know what to say. He's trying to send the message to his players, guys, we can't be our normal arrogant selves. And Ben Johnson's like, hold my beer, buddy. Yeah. I'm going to let everyone throw and catch the ball tonight. Ben Johnson, man, terrible job.
Yeah. And this is why the Lions were one and done. Because, like I said last year, in the playoffs, it's not so much that you have to play your best. That's a given. It's not so much that you have to elevate your performance because you're playing at a different level of intensity. They're playing with everything on the line. It's literally the most important game in the world. People try to downplay, well, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. If you lose in the playoffs, it's the end of the world. It literally is. It's the end of your season. So miss me all the way with that.
What a disaster.
You cannot be reckless in the playoffs. Dan Quinn was aggressive, borderline reckless, but more so aggressive, knowing, listen, we can't really stop them. We can't stop them. Field goals probably will do us in. However, we need to modify. And I think we're getting a call here.
Oh.
We're getting a call here. Is this Mr. No Intro himself?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Round of applause. Kerry, No Intro Bailey, a fellow Benedict's man. That's a Benedict's man right there. Bula, baby.
Yeah. 04.
Oh, he was 04, I was 06, so I'll let that slide. but nah, thanks for one more round of applause for my man No Intro. He's calling in. It's toward the end of the show, but we're gonna get your points in there. Kerry, we were mid conversation talking about the Lions being one and done. Why did the Lions go one? Why were the Lions one and done, in your opinion, against the Commanders?
Man, I feel like it's two things for me. Jared Goff, number one.
LA Goff.
He didn't make some of the reads he made wasn't good. He forced a couple of throws, and a lot of time with Jared Goff, you get him off his spot, play a little zone, get pressure with the front four, he's going to make a mistake. So the other thing is a lot of injuries, unfortunately, for Lions defense. I know Aaron Glenn worked real good with the defense, but they could not get Washington off the field.
No.
Jay Daniels a couple of times just sat back there for a good 10 seconds, just bouncing up and down, looking for somewhere to throw the ball.
Yeah, they were missing 16 players, if I'm not mistaken, that were on IR. Like that definitely came home to boost.
Yep.
How do you feel about this point? Me and Mongo, we were making it right before you called. There's a difference between being reckless and being aggressive, and we felt like Ben Johnson in this game was reckless, and I feel like that we both agreed that's a big part of why they were one and done. What was the biggest factor of the Lions going home? Was it Ben Johnson? Was it the injuries? If you had to pick one, you could only pick one. What was the biggest issue?
You said it got to be a big. I'm gonna just have to go with the turnovers. I get what I honestly agree with you on the Ben Johnson point, because when he did the trick play with Jameson Williams throwing the ball, you got to put the ball in the quarterback hands at that point. So I'm gonna say the injuries. I mean the turnovers, I should say, was the biggest problem, because it's the worst when you're driving and you're close to scoring and you turn the ball over and then an opponent scoring you. It's a whatever point it's going to be swing and it hurts your team, and then you have to go back on the field and try to right the wrong, so to speak, right after. So, but I'm gonna say the turnovers, but I 100% agree with you on Ben Johnson, because why you're putting receiver hands and then you can't be mad at the receiver because he's not a quarterback. Okay. The throw was not open. It was not open.
It was a bad
Savage.
ball. It was a bad ball.
It was a bad throw. It was a bad ball,
bad read, a bad play call.
It was all bad. All in one. It was all bad.
All bad. Let me we'll keep it going here. We got a little bit of time. All three of our respective teams do not have a head coach. All three of our teams let go of their head coaches in spectacular fashion. You're a Jaguar fan, no Doug Peterson. I'm a Cowboy fan, as everybody in the world knows. No more Mike McCarthy. Mongo is a Jet fan, no more Robert Saleh, who actually is a finalist for you guys' job with the Jags. I'm hearing.
You're welcome.
You're all welcome. I'm hearing two quick questions. I'm hearing that the Bucs OC is the leading candidate to take over for you guys as your head coach. How do you feel about that? And number two, why is Trent Baalke still there?
So for me, you asked the question in reverse order. So I'm gonna get to Trent Baalke first, because if I was him, I'd have to throw hands. So Trent Baalke's still there because Shad Khan, in my opinion, our owner, doesn't have anybody else ear like that. That's the only person that has Shad Khan's ear. So that's the only reason he's still there. And Shad Khan trusts him. I don't know how he doesn't see everybody else's opinions on him about his lack of ability. I mean, he's not all bad, I will say that, but it's time for him to go. He's mismanaged the roster, but that's why that's why Trent Baalke is still there. Shad Khan, our owner, trusts him, and obviously the person that can fire him is Shad Khan. So he's not going to fire him right now anyway. He's not listening to anybody, any outside noise about he's a backstabber and this, that, and the other. And this man has survived once again. This man, as Jaguar fans, we make the joke. If we ever were to get into an atom bomb kind of issue, we would stick with Trent Baalke because that man knows how to survive. Whatever, however he does it, but he does. So that's why he's sticking around. Shad Khan trusts the man. I really want him gone. I think I told you about that. I wanted him gone last year, but here we are. Whatever.
Yeah, you've been animated on Twitter. We follow each other.
Yeah, I have. Yes, I have. Yes. And he had a press conference after we fired Peterson, he had a press conference with Trent Baalke there. I was like, why is he even here? So, but anyway, I've accepted that he ain't going anywhere until Shad Khan decided to make a move, and he always half measure. He always fired the coach and keep the GM. He keep the coach but fire the GM. He don't ever restart. So to your second question, honestly, a lot of people will say hindsight. This is hindsight, but honestly, Liam Cohen was my number one choice.
Oh, okay.
Personally, for me, I like Ben Johnson. Don't be wrong. I'm not saying Ben Johnson's not going to be a good coach. Who knows? We all know it's a crapshoot. It happens. But if you ask me who was my number one candidate, it was Liam Cohen the whole time. Because look at what he did Baker Mayfield this year.
Yeah.
I get it. If people say, he bounced around. But, I mean, if you're getting pay raises and people, you moving around, new coaches coming in, whatever the case may be. But, look, what he did with Baker Mayfield this year was special.
Yeah.
Bucky Irvin, a lot of people didn't know him as a rookie running back. He was one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, if you could bring any of that over here with who I believe Trevor Lawrence is more talented than Baker Mayfield, people will say what they say. You know just as well as I do, man. I'm animated, but I'm also a realist. Trevor Lawrence got to start turning the ball over.
Yep. He's been dubbed, Steve, get it queued up. He's been dubbed one of the generational guys.
Exactly.
That's great.
And unfortunately, he hasn't lived up. And part of that is the culture and the situation. Urban Meyer, Doug Peterson, our offense coordinator, that Doug Peterson refused to let go was a problem too. But at the same time, I've said this before, Ugo, man, and what did I say? He can't keep having these pedestrian outings. These 160-yard passing days. No. I need 250 plus from you.
I don't know, man. 160 yards, that works in Philadelphia, man. So,
I mean,
that's a savage.
That's why you got to run a quarterback.
Savage.
That's the thing. So, but man, Liam Cohen has been number one for me. Honestly, what I hope happens, because he's coming into interview, I believe, if not tomorrow, it's going to be Thursday. And from what I've heard, I follow a lot of Jaguar insiders, people that talk, and people that know, that's in the know. Trevor Lawrence camp is very, very pro Liam Cohen.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
So
that's good.
I'm hoping that's where we go. And honestly, I don't think we will, but Robert Saleh, I hope we can snag him as the defensive coordinator possibly. I don't think we'll top San Francisco offer for him to be the DC all over again, but he did work for us. I'm not sure exactly the year, but he was a linebacker coach for us a while back. So, I mean, hopefully that's the move. If we go Liam Cohen, head coach, Robert Saleh, DC, I'm all for it.
Okay. All right. We got to wrap pretty soon here. Kerry, do you got a quick question for us before we bring things on home?
I do. Since we talking about head coaches, you have been very critical of Mike McCarthy, animated just like me.
Yeah.
And my man that's a Jets fan, I got to ask you. So both of y'all, if y'all gonna put me on the spot, put y'all on the spot too. Who do y'all want as y'all head coach? And y'all can't have Liam Cohen, so stay away.
That's fair. You can go ahead.
I'll go first. My choice is going to the Jets. I wanted Aaron Glenn. I wanted either Aaron Glenn or it was a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. It was for clickbait. Primetime Deion Sanders.
Don't you say it.
Primetime Deion Sanders, man. I mean,
it ain't happening.
I know it's not happening, but you asked me a question. I got to answer it.
You're right.
Savage.
What I want doesn't align with the old out-of-touch clown that runs my organization. I want, what I mean, for them to have a culture shift. I want them to maximize this window of Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Trey Diggs, and Micah Parsons. I want them to compete for championships. What I'm gonna get is the status quo. We're going to get another Timu Jason Garrett in Schottenheimer, or a Timu Jason Garrett in Kellen Moore, and we're gonna get more of the same. Like against the big boys and the elite teams, we might win a bunch of regular season games. You know, if everybody's healthy, we're good for that. But when we play the big boys come tournament time, if the coaching staff is what is going to be trotted out there with Schottenheimer or Moore or another Jerry Puppet, we're gonna lose in the divisional round. I'm resigned to that. So I want Aaron Glenn, but he's in Jersey. There's nothing I can do about it, and Deion's not leaving Colorado. Mongo.
With
real quick, hold on. I just want to say I would love for y'all to hire Kellen Moore just to see the Cowboy fans' reaction, because y'all can't stand that man.
What, do you mean Timu Jason Garrett? Nah, we don't like him.
I'm not gonna go that far. Look,
Savage.
you dealt with him. I'm not in it.
Again, he had the 29th ranked passing offense with Justin Herbert, and he's got the 23rd ranked passing offense with Jalen Hurts. And both those guys are considered, cue it up, Steve, generational. so yeah. But Mongo, take it away before I throw myself into traffic.
You know what? Only because you got to play the Deion Sanders card. Hey, listen, he wasn't my first choice, but I was Team Rex Ryan. Actually, was my second choice.
Oh wow.
But with that being said, I've been Aaron Glenn. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm getting my wish here. It looks like Aaron Glenn's seemingly finalizing. I'm not happy with his plan for his coordinators, particularly his offensive coordinator. So I'm hoping that still changes. But listen, my dream all along has been get Aaron Glenn in as the coach, draft Abdul Carter out of Penn State, and then just blitz Carter and McDonald 50 times a game for the next decade. And I would be very happy, even in losses, I'd be very happy watching just a very aggressive defense, being let loose under Aaron Glenn's, command. So I was at Team Aaron Glenn from the start. Lifelong Jet fan, so I mean, I love the idea of someone coming home, and it looks like we're going to get that.
Culture, man. Like the next head coach
Culture's
for
big.
the next head coach for the Jags, the next head coach for the Cowboys, the next head coach for the Jets. If it doesn't shift the culture or add to the culture, all of us will be picking mid to high in the draft next year. Like that's just what it is. That's the reality of it, man.
That is, and we'll be right back having this conversation about who are going to be our coach 3 years from now.
That's right.
Facts. Same bad time, same bad channel. But round of applause for Mr. No Intro himself.
Yeah.
Kerry Bailey. Thanks for calling in, dog. We got to get you next time you're in Jersey, man. Pull up. We'll get you on the set.
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam for
Oh,
sure.
all right.
Hey. Talk about it. Hey.
Look, already took the days off.
All right, man. Later, dog.
All right. Yeah. Later, man.
Round of applause one more time. Round of applause. Round of applause. Mr. No Intro. All right. We've come to the final credits of another great episode. Final score. Like let's play a quick game of rapid fire on the spot. Right. This episode of rapid fire on the spot is of course pays the bills. U-Goboy merch. Grab yourself some U-Goboy merch. Link below. We'll go back and forth real quick, and then we'll bring things on home. My first question to you, Mongo. What quarterback has the best performance this weekend, Championship Sunday?
Statistically, Jaden Daniels, but it's in a loss, so no one ever talks about it, and everyone's talking about Mahomes.
True. Okay, I like it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how much you blame Mark Andrews for that Raven loss?
A 7. A solid 7, because the Ravens had 3 turnovers. They lost the turnover battle. Every team that lost the turnover battle has lost in Divisional Playoff Weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So the turnovers, that's what really did them in, because you can't turn the ball over, especially on the road in the playoffs, let alone at home. You can't turn the ball over in the playoffs. So yeah. If the Commanders win, why? Why will they win?
The 52 guys in green get struck by lightning or fall into a hole. No, they'll win the turnover battle. Is really the only path there. And furthermore, they need to win the points off turnover battle. Useless turnovers are exactly what they sound like. They do no good. I think other teams would get frustrated. You saw even Lamar get frustrated. Mm-hmm. I don't think if Philly throws the ball away 6 times and Washington just has to punt 6 more times, Nick Sirianni will be giddy as a schoolgirl. I don't think that phases him in the least.
Gotcha. Your turn.
We kind of talked about this, but let's quantify it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you blame Dan Campbell for the Lions' loss?
About an 8. It's high because your coordinators are an extension of you, just like your players are an extension of you. They're reckless because he's reckless, right? And again, it was my fear. I talked about a couple episodes ago. I felt like the way they gave the NFC Championship game away, I thought they were going to learn from that. That scar tissue was going to they were going to learn and grow from that and attack this playoff run in a more intentional manner and be better off for it. But yeah, I mean, I get it. The injuries, 16 guys. I get that, but they were still better. They're still better than Washington. They still should have beat Washington. So coaching matters for sure. If the Bills win, the Bills beat the Chiefs, which we both don't believe that's going to happen. But if the Bills do beat the Chiefs, why will that happen?
Because the Bills do not kick any field goals inside the Chiefs' 25. We saw that with the Texans settling for a couple field goals against the Chiefs. You can't beat the Chiefs going 7-3 at any given point.
Agreed. And bring it on home with the final one.
I set myself up perfectly for this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you blame the officials for the Texans' loss?
I mean, we're in the Swiftie era. I mean, the Mahomes era. So, you know me. I'm a conspiracist. I think that it's scripted and rigged anyway. So the Chiefs are just meant to win Super Bowls until the league doesn't want them to win them anymore. Right. So it'll always be 10.
Fair enough.
It'll be 10 in the Super Bowl. It'll be 10. If the Pro Bowl was in Kansas City, it'd be 10 there. But that does it here. Round of applause. We're going to bring it on home. The Royal Rumble is on the way. This is LA Night. Yeah, you know it. This belt here belonged to NWO Bret Hart. This belt right here belongs to Cody Rhodes. For now, we'll see who's going to take that off his waist. That's Mongo. He's got a beard, and it's perfect. Steve is on the board. That beard belongs in the Hall of Fame. I'm U-Goboy. I got a beard too. There's the logo. LA Night. Go see a Punk in the Royal Rumble. We love you guys. We'll talk to you before or after the Super Bowl, but we'll be back here. Love you. That's it.
Yeah!
A whole vibe, I don't need a plug, no cosign, thinking out loud, that's a gold mine, mask on, yeah, COVID-19, baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna, rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna, still kicking like Van Damme, with my niggas in Amsterdam.
You go, boy.
Yatzee. It's your boy, U-Goboy. That's Mongo. All right. This is the U-Goboy podcast channel. But before we start, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We got unfiltered, authentic conversations. We got sports talk. We got drops. Oh, yeah. So, Mongo, what should they do?
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Yatzee.